Hey guys, this is Ron here again. Today we're talking about in my blog basically starting small before you end big. And basically what that means for writers, but even beyond writers, we're going into just like businesses of really any industry this applies for. Um, you don't always have to start off with like a lot of followers on Twitter or like a lot of people who come to like an event you host or so on. You can just as easily build your footprint both in the digital manner and the physical manner by just tending to like smaller groups who, let's say for example you're a writer and so you've written a couple of works and you want to share them with people. There's many ways to go about this. You could use sites such as, and I've mentioned them before, but I'll mention them again. You could use sites such as Fiction Press, Quotive, Figment.com, those sorts, anything along those lines to share your works. But I'm not thinking digitally. You could also build your audience in the physical environments as well. You can hold them, for example, like short events at like your room in your home or at a coffee shop with a friend or two. Um, basically, the idea is that you go around just reading some lines of your work to people who you trust for feedback. Um, this and again, this could just as easily be friends. In fact, it is highly suggested that you start off with your friends as the audience because those are the people who will know you best as well as your family members. Although family members aren't exactly the most ideal people to start presenting your work to because naturally they're going to support you in whatever they do. For the most part, you definitely want to try people who aren't as personally connected with you because those will be the ones who give you honest feedback on like on where your work stands, what's engaging about it, um, what's engaging about the strategy that you're using in the first place, and that's also another thing. Based on what strategy you're using, and based on your audience, for example, your audience may use social media more than physical place, such as like your home or like somewhere like a shop or a park, etc., etc. And I'm also on the capability of social media. They definitely open you to an even wider range of an audience. And truthfully, in my opinion, if I were in the shoes of like trying to get like my work known by others, and in fact I am. I constantly use social media platforms such as again Fiction Press, Quotive, Figment, WordPress. Though I actually use Fiction Press the most. The other ones are fairly new, but certainly sites to still keep in mind. But the internet opens you to a very wide range of people from like not just locally but globally, and really that's a very nice aspect about social media that you can definitely rely on. Some of the biggest platforms out there are, Twitter. Lots of people use Twitter. Google Plus, it doesn't exactly have as much notoriety as Twitter or Facebook or anything along those lines, but it should still be considered. For example, I was reading this book by Guy Kawasaki called The Art of Social Media. And what he says in one of his chapters, I believe it was chapter 6, what he says in chapter 6 is basically that the newest social media platforms are the ones that yield the most potential for you to gain the most of an audience. Because they're new, um, you can definitely gain a lot of followers, gain a lot of viewers for when you post, etc. Because it's a new platform. So definitely be on the lookout for new platforms out there. Don't just think that it's because Twitter is a site that's been around for a while, it's going to yield the most potential for you to grow your audience. you actually have the more potential to grow even bigger a big audience in a fairly reasonable amount of time by using newer social media platforms. So always keep an eye out for new social media platforms that are out there. Um, Facebook, I think, is one of the older ones besides YouTube. Um, Google Plus is again was one of the fairly new ones that Guy Kawasaki used back in 2014, um, and gained definitely over millions of fans. So always keep in mind to always be on the lookout for new social media platforms. And again, even before you start this, know who you're trying to attract, know who your audience is for your book, for your essay, for your poems, etc. Know who is interested in this genre and who you're trying to get to come around to you. And also know your competition as well. That's also very important too. See how other writers out there have gotten their works showcased through social media usage. And this goes into even a third topic. Know what platform you're trying to use. Are you trying to make your work more social media based, or are you trying to make it more based in person to person, face to face interactions? Of course, that's actually a pretty vague description because the internet too now allows face to face interactions. Features such as Google's HOA allow people to post videos um, to a website, and basically they will host like just like a video that's related to a certain subject. They'll have comments on what they're talking about, and typically, for any video, really, you definitely want to make sure that you definitely have an outline for what you're talking about. Like it's one thing to just like start a video and just like rant and like think that like you'll just be led from there what you're going into, but the more structured way of doing it and the more professional way of doing it, if you're really serious about showing your credibility to your audience, is to definitely have an outline of what you're going to talk about, know what you're going to speak about. This will avoid you seeming like you're not as aware of what you're trying to handle here. It will show that you're organized, and showing that you're organized is definitely a good way to demonstrate the professional side of you to your audience, especially when they're looking for you to like advise them. For example, you can have a lot of people in your audience who are writers themselves who want to learn from you. So you definitely don't want to stay inside of the scope of a mind where you believe that you're the learner who's just starting out in this. You could just as easily be like someone's teacher out there. So there's lots of people just like you currently who don't know where to begin, but they'll learn from you and your strategies of how to implement their own strategies and building their audience and building their footprint and building their reputation as a writer. So always keep in mind that you're learning, but you're also teaching. And that's definitely a big part of all of this. You're actually teaching us before you're learning, even when you start off. We look to your advice as much as you look to ours, and vice versa. That's what social media is. It's definitely the platform for the exchange of information. And the more you engage with your audience, the more feedback you get from them, and the more feedback that you give to them, the more you're building that engagement and building your footprint and definitely building your audience as well.